Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of BTTH the Flame Emperor episode number 219 based on novel. So let's start. It's really a huge lineup. Xiao Yan looked at the aura emanating from the hundreds of powerhouses in front of him. Without any fear, he directly faced this tyrannical aura and spoke to the Shenling King word for word. Said. However, in the depths of his pupils, there was still a slight pain in the flesh, because many of the powerhouses in front of him were all his own elders, and now they were actually controlled by the Shenling King, and a feeling of anger and worry slowly emerged. Second brother. Second brother. Xiao Yi and Long Yi both came directly to Xiao Yang, trying to resist this momentum, but Xiao Yang waved his hand and stopped him. My king. Wenzi was about to say something just now, but was also stopped directly by King Shenling. You go down. There are some miscellaneous fish outside Shenling Mountain, you can solve it. King Shenling ordered. Yes. Wenzi heard the words and left here directly. Ha ha. Xiao Yang, I have to say that you are very courageous. Seeing Wenzi disappear, King Shenling stared at Xiao Yang, who was under enormous pressure in front of him, and laughed. You bastard. Long Yi and Xiao Yi, who were on the side, both turned their eyes towards the Shenling King and became hideous. It's really a weak force. At the next moment, Xiao Yang directly shook the momentum away, muttering to himself, although there was blood on the corner of his mouth because of the shock. They used to be your close relatives, but now they have become my slaves. As long as I give an order, they will be scattered. And you kid, I'm afraid there are some secrets on your body, otherwise how dare you kill so many powerful people in my Shenling royal family? You'd better invite him out. Otherwise, you will die today. King Shenling was not in a hurry and said slowly, Xiao Yang, these guys have been completely controlled by him, don't act recklessly. Kaylin looked at Xiao Yang's determined eyes and said solemnly, Second brother, these people are under the control of King Shenling, more than a dozen Dozian and many 9-star Dodi. And when Xiaoyi glanced at the back of King Shenling, those scenes, it was him cannot help but startled. Okay. That's what you want. And when Xiao Yang heard the words, there was blood in his pupils, and he knew that today might be a mortal situation. After Xiao Yang finished speaking, he twisted his fingers slightly, and then an indescribable terrifying black ghostly energy emerged directly from Najie. What is this? King Shenling just saw this thing, and his eyes suddenly lit up. With his current strength, he knew that the strength of this thing in front of him was stronger than any Ghost World powerhouse he had come into contact with before. Powerful. No matter where you are today, you have to stay here completely. Shen Kang, stop him. After a short while, King Shenling ordered directly, and after speaking, Shen San, who was tyrannical to the 2-star Dozian beside him, directly faced the black chi outside Xiao Yang. Sure enough, it is a 2-star fighting immortal. The Soul Eater had just left Xiao Yang's Soul Eater talisman body, but at this time, he had turned into a black gas. Boom boom boom. Shen Kang didn't seem to intend to give Soul Eater a chance to breathe, and attacked directly. Nice attack. The Lord of Soul Eater said lightly, and the ghostly energy wrapped around his body continued to emerge, resisting Shen Kang. You guys, stop Long Yi and Xiao Yi for me. In the next moment, King Shenling said to a group of fighting immortals. Yes, my king. King Shenling gave an order. Those strong people were directly dominated by the sect master of the poison sect, with a strange blood color in their pupils. Then 10 fighting immortals strong men attacked Long Yi and Xiao Yi. And go. 10 fighting immortals. Who can stand it? Long Yi and Xiao Yi couldn't help but move when they saw this. Obviously, with their strength, they were not enough to deal with so many powerhouses. Do it. Xiao Yi also said in a deep voice. They all knew that today was probably a real death battle. These little guys. The Soul Eater Lord He Tuan, who was able to deal with Shen Kang with ease, smiled slightly when he saw this. Fut. In just a few breaths, the 10 Do immortals completely surrounded Control Soul and Xiao Yi. Forget it, these guys are too strong for them. After a while, the Master of Soul Eater also had an answer in his heart. Blood River Bell. Crash. As Soul Eater's muttering fell, a delicate bell filled with countless blood-colored mysterious runes slowly appeared in everyone's sight. This is Blood River Bell, the evil soldier in the ghost world. When he saw this scene, the calm King Shenling was immediately surprised, and then his pupils were filled with greed. With the strength of his Shenling King now, coupled with this evil soldier, it is enough to fight beyond the ranks, so this thing must be obtained. This bell must be obtained. King Shenling said to a group of figures around him. Boom boom boom. After a while, the Blood River Bell directly enveloped all the powerhouses present, and then a color directly included all the powerhouses in it. I'll leave the rest to you. The Lord of Soul Eater watched as the 10 Do's Yan were temporarily imprisoned by Shui Ling, and the remaining 9-star Do Emperor and other strong men said to Long Yi and Xiao Yi tilde good. Long Yi and Xiao Yi were overjoyed when they saw this. The strength of the two of them, it is still possible to stop these 9-star fighting emperors and 8-star fighting emperors for a while. Xiao Yang, success or failure depends on you. After the Master of Soul Eater finished speaking, he was resisting Shen Kang's attack. I can't see that you have a lot of secrets in this kid. That group of black gas should be a strong person in the ghost world, right? Seeing the 10 fighting immortals around him being sucked into the Blood River Bell, the Shenling King had no worries, but a trace of ecstasy emerged, because this is enough to prove the tyranny of Blood River Bell. My secrets, there are quite a few. Among them, killing you human beings who have been polluted by evil races from outside the territory is the first one. Xiao Yang smiled while staring at King Shenling. I'm not ashamed to say. Don't worry, I won't let you die too fast, I will torture you well. You can't live without dying. Ha ha ha. King Xuanling's evil laughter filled the entire altar. How can the 7-star Do Di fight with the Shenling King who is a complete 1-star Do Yan? Mu Yingying couldn't help worrying about the conversation between Xiao Yang and the Shenling King, because the difference in strength between the two it's too obvious. I'm afraid Xiao Yang has no chance of winning. And what puzzled Mu Yingying the most was, why did Xiao Yang fight? Even though he knew he couldn't beat him, he still had to bite the bullet, ignoring the threat of being seriously injured and falling. What is this human emotion? It is said that there is a way in the Holy Flame, which can have the power to instantly change the situation of the battle, but the price is too huge. Mu Yingying's beautiful eyes turned slightly, and a relationship with Xiao Yang kept emerging in her mind. Bit by bit, an immature idea emerged. Boy, feel the embrace of death. The next moment, King Shenling ignored the other battles, raised his fingers slightly, and swept away from where Xiao Yang was. Crash! A beam of destruction fused by the power of life and death, black and white, directly attacked Xiao Yang with the majestic power to destroy everything. 7th layer breaking the sky ruler, 7 feet in a row. When Xiao Yang saw this attack, his brows wrinkled, obviously from a long distance, he could feel the terrifying power contained in it. 7 incomparably huge 100-foot-long horns poured down directly from the ancient ruler of the eternal fire. Immediately, when they kept surging, the 7 huge Kai-shaped horns were vaguely converged into a 1,000-jong-sized beam. Amazing light. After a few breaths, Xiao Yang's 1,000-foot-inch beam and Shenling King's black and white finger beams touched each other lightly. Whoosh whoosh. The terrifying ripples that were enough to destroy the 7-star Do Emperor or even the 8-star Do Emperor suddenly emerged from the center of the battle. And that kind of stalemate fluctuation didn't last long. Xiao Yang's ray of light suddenly dimmed, and then it was completely penetrated by the black and white light beam, and then hit Xiao Yang hard. A mouthful of bright red blood was spit out by such a powerful blow. If it wasn't for the attack of the 7th layer breaking sky ruler that greatly weakened this power of life and death, I am afraid that Xiao Yang's strength in the middle stage of the 7-star Do Emperor would have completely fallen under this attack. Being attacked in this way, Xiao Yang's aura became slightly quieter, apparently because of King Xuanling's attack, and because of the battle chi consumed by the use of the 7th level breaking sky ruler. Ha ha ha. I see how many times you can resist. Seeing Xiao Yang's appearance, King Shenling couldn't help laughing. Obviously, he was enjoying this feeling very much at this time. Shenling hand. At the next moment, the figure of King Shenling leaped into the sky and said to Xiao Yang. As soon as the voice fell, an incomparably huge blood-red hand appeared slowly. Ads by Pub Future. The Shenling hand. Xiao Yang has also dealt with it before, but no one has the power of the Shenling King. The sky, the first finger, second finger, third finger. And Xiao Yang gritted his teeth hard when he saw the attack that could easily destroy him. Immediately, his dark pupils suddenly closed, and an extremely terrifying wave also emerged. Boom boom boom. The two were fighting each other, but this time, it was Xiao Yang who was still injured. After all, there was a 4-level difference in strength between the two. Zaidu spurted out a mouthful of blood. Xiao Yang's face was extremely pale at this time. The power in this guy is not right. It's clearly a human being, but the power of the evil races outside the body is so strong, and maybe it has the smell of a blood demon. Xiao Yang's breath was extremely weak, but he continued to analyze. Xiao Yang knew that his last trump card now was only 2 Saint Flame crystals. However, the Holy Flame crystal of Ghost Face and Soul Flame can only be used completely by beheading the Gorefiend. Now the last half of the Gorefiend is missing inexplicably, and Xiao Yang's attack just now was to prove his conjecture. The reason why King Shenling possessed such a strong foreign power is because he swallowed the Gorefiend. It seems to be true, there is only that way. Although I am a little reluctant to give up, but, Xiao Yang said, a sudden burst of determination. Xiao Yang had tasted the power of combining the 2 holy flames before, but he was resisted by them. The source of the resistance factor was not the power of the 2 holy flames, but the difference in the depths of Xiao Yang's body. Fire. Therefore, Xiao Yang guessed that if he wanted to fuse holy flames, he would have to expel all the strange fires in his body before they could fuse perfectly. Kid, die. And King Shenling seemed to have lost his patience as he watched passively being beaten all the time. A trace of blood-colored evil aura continued to radiate from under his feet, a burst of energy that was enough to kill Do D peak powerhouses. Killing move, slowly brewing. Only by detonating the source of 23 kinds of different fires, can the resistance of the different fires to the holy flame be completely eradicated. But this is a gamble. After the expulsion, there will be no strange fire in the body, maybe it will hurt the source, if at that time, the holy flame can't be merged, then. Teacher Gudi Tuorsha, bless me. Xiao Yang muttered softly, and then did not hesitate. Xiao Yang, what do you want to do? That thing is absolutely not good, Kaylin suddenly said, as if realizing Xiao Yang's decision. Is there a better way? Xiao Yang asked. For the time being, no more, but you still have other things to do. In that case, the price would be too high, Kaylin said. I won't watch the people around me fall in front of me, unless they step on my corpse. After Xiao Yang finished speaking, without hesitating, he directly activated the internal burning art. Ihua square, come out for me, Xiao Yang hummed suddenly, and a square with a size of several hundred meters appeared directly. What is this? Looking at this sudden appearance, King Shenling couldn't help hesitating. With his perception, he could smell the smell of flames from the square of different fire. The power of this flame, there is no holy flame tyrannical, but it should not be underestimated. The 23rd on the different fire list, Shen Huangyang, return to your place. The 22nd on the list of different fires, the fire of all beasts, return to your place. Second in the list of different fires, nothingness swallows the flames, return to your place. The strange fire in the Yin Corpse Forest, return to your place. As Xiao Yang continued to speak out, the flames of different colors burst out of Xiao Yang's body directly, and all attached to the huge stone pillars in the square of different fire. Humph. Boy, no matter how many tricks you play, you can't escape death today. King Shenling said resentfully, and the attack in his hand did not stop. King Shenling, if you want to take my Xiao Yang's life, then I will also give you a big gift. The power of the strange fire, give me a blast. Explode. Explode. And Xiao Yang saw that as many as 23 kinds of different fires appeared here, and his heart was slightly reluctant, but for the lives of Sheng Yang and everyone, he directly drank it one sound. What? As Xiao Yang's voice fell, a majestic energy that penetrated the sky and the earth suddenly compressed and suddenly burst out. Self-exploding strange fire? Big brother, you. And Xiao Yi, who was beside him, felt Xiao Yang's means and couldn't help roaring. For Xiao Yang, the strange fire is no different from life. If 23 kinds of strange fire are directly detonated, I am afraid that the sequelae will be quite serious. Let him go. And Long Yi said slightly, haha, good boy, I didn't expect that this guy really found out. Although the different fire is good, it is not enough to accommodate the rules of this great world. Only the holy flame can help you reach the peak, and the different fire is only your obstacle. Abandon the strange fire and obtain the holy flame to truly transform. Break and then stand. I am afraid that the tyrannical power obtained by detonating the strange fire can cause a lot of injuries to the Shenling King. The Soul Eater on the side said with a smile. Ha ha ha. King Shenling, feel the great gift I gave you. After Xiao Yang directly cut off the connection between the strange fire and himself, it exploded. At that time, there was no trace of the power of the strange fire in Xiao Yang's body. And because of this detonation, Xiao Yang's power suddenly dropped to the level of a 5-star fighting emperor. This little bastard. And King Shenling watched the flames full of devouring, ice and many properties explode at the same time, and a touch of fear poured into his heart. Boom boom boom. Detonating 23 kinds of different fires, such a means, throughout the ages, I am afraid that only Xiao Yang has such audacity. In the entire altar, a world of flames like the end of the world was slowly born. There are too many different fires. I will expel them all here, otherwise the writing will be too complicated and everyone will look ugly. However, these strange fires, the flame beasts in Xiao Yang's body and Xiao Yi still have their origins, and there will be drama in the future. Boom boom boom. Rounds of flames and heat waves, like a world-annihilating frenzy, leaned away directly at Shenling King. Damn little beast. Under the extremely hot flames, King Shenling couldn't help roaring. Obviously, although these strange fires are not as tyrannical as holy flames, each fire is just the mysterious power contained in it, and it is enough to make Shenling King suffer greatly. Xiao Yang. Seeing Xiao Yang so weak, a trace of sadness could not help but emerge from the beautiful eyes of Kaylin on the side. Obviously, he was able to force Xiao Yang to detonate all the strange fires. This King Shenling was also proud. On the other hand, after Xiao Yang detonated so many different fires, Yang Kai on the other side actually regained his sanity temporarily with the help of that extremely terrifying power. Where is this? Yang Kai opened his mouth slightly, very at a loss. Brother. And Mu, who was still worried about Xiao Yang just now, heard the words, and the tears came out like a dam bursting. Ying, don't cry, I will take you home. And Yang Kai comforted. As soon as he finished speaking, he looked around, only to find that Xiao Yang was already in a state of exhaustion. What's going on? Yang Kai couldn't help asking. Brother, you are straight from the blood river. Mu Ying explained it again. Xiao Yang, this guy, it seems. Yang Kai felt more or less emotional when he heard the words. As soon as the voice fell, the eyes of the three were attracted by the extremely hot fluctuations in the sky. Ha ha ha. Little beast, I didn't expect you to have such means. It really surprised me. If it wasn't for the power of the Gore Fiend, I'm afraid I would have fallen. But you shouldn't feel bad after so many flames have been detonated, right? And the huge blood-red evil aura completely replaced the ghost energy and the power of life and death on Shenling King's body. Roaring at Xiao Yang. You bastard, you are insane, as expected. And when the flames dissipated, Xiao Yang finally confirmed his guess. The remaining power of the Gore Fiend was indeed swallowed up by the Shenling King. At this time, King Shenling was quite embarrassed, and his clothes were tattered. Through the clothes, one could vaguely find a rather evil figure on his chest, slowly emerging. That's the Gore Fiend. Crazy. Everything is just a matter of preying on the weak. And King Shenling didn't show any signs of concealing it. If he hadn't wanted Xiao Yang and the others to see his flame-swallowing feast, I'm afraid they would have already become the souls of his subordinates at this time. Moreover, the Gore Fiend had been completely swallowed by the Shenling King, but its phantom appeared on his chest. But, it's time to end. Death to me. The next moment, King Shenling flew directly towards Xiao Yang, and the speed was astonishing. Second brother, Xiao Yang. Long Yi, Xiao Yi, Kaylin, and Mu Ying couldn't help worrying about each other. The four of them just wanted to go to help Xiao Yang, but they were stopped by their strong men. Couldn't help but blushed. Zana, Kaylin, I may have to break my promise. Xiao Yang watched the incomparable figure of King Shenling slowly enlarge in his pupils, and a crazy thought also echoed in his mind. Xiao Yang, you dare. Xiao, and I will never forgive you. At this time, Cai Lin's strength of 10 colors continued to emerge from her body, but she was still unable to break free from the shackles of the pillar, so she couldn't help roaring at Xiao Yang. If you have a chance to go back, tell Xiao for me that I am not a qualified father. And say something to my dad and teacher. I'm sorry. After Xiao Yang finished speaking, the corner of his mouth suddenly became very strange, and then on his forehead, a mysterious blood-colored rune floated out, even covering his entire body. Exudes a breath of Flame King. This is, to blow yourself up. Don't. And Mu Ying suddenly discovered something, and hurriedly shouted, the tears couldn't stop flowing. Self-destruction? You don't have that chance. Since I have ruined my Shenling royal family for so many things, they also killed many of my disciples. You just die and pay for their lives. After King Shenling finished speaking, his figure appeared beside Xiao Yang like a ghost, and then he raised his bloody, evil palm and patted Xiao Yang lightly. Ha ha ha. King Shenling, even if I die, Xiao Yang, I will never make you feel better. Let's go together. After Xiao Yang finished speaking, his aura suddenly rose, and the next moment he was about to explode out of control. Crash. At this moment, the temperature on the entire altar suddenly dropped a lot, and right above the altar, a full moon slowly emerged. Above the full moon seemed to contain quite mysterious fluctuations, and not long after that, a shadowy figure flew out directly above the full moon. Why are you so impulsive? Don't you want to wait for me? An ethereal voice slowly entered Xiao Yang's ears, and then Xiao Yang only felt that the fighting spirit that was surging in his body was being suppressed, and his body was also affected by a shadow, slowly hold. Who are you? And King Shenling looked at the figure that suddenly appeared, and added the rather mysterious full moon just above the altar. He couldn't help asking the figure in front of him. He is my benefactor. If you hurt him, you will die. The visitor gently sent Xiao Yang back to the ground, and then a trace of the power of the bright moonlight in his body entered Xiao Yang's body, temporarily calming the injury, and then suddenly lifted into the air. A burst of extremely terrifying fluctuations suddenly radiated out. Is this Yueru? Xiao Yi couldn't help but ask when she saw the figure who appeared at the last minute. Looking at her strength, I am afraid that her inheritance is successful, and her strength has reached the ranks of fighting immortals. Long Yi couldn't help saying, you have the aura of fairy moonlight on you. King Shenling was naturally well informed, and in just a short moment, he could smell the bright aura on Yueru's body. She's my teacher, but you're just an outsider from the evil race. But there is no qualification to mention the teacher's name. Yu's beautiful eyes moved slightly, and a murderous intent suddenly emerged. Damn, this Xiao Yang is messing around with flowers, he is even worse than me. The Soul Eater Lord on the side scolded secretly, apparently from Yueru's attitude towards John Ji hungry just now. Hehe, the relationship between the two is definitely not simple. Since that's the case, then I will capture you and force out Fairy Moon's power, which is another great help for me. Ha ha ha. King Shenling laughed unquestionably when he heard this. Then let's see if you have the ability. Yu let out a snarl and launched an attack directly. Alas. And Xiao Yang sighed slightly after being temporarily rescued by Yueru. Why are the people around me so much stronger than me? But at the next moment, Xiao Yang also knew that if he wanted to really kill King Shenling, he would have to rely on the power of Holy Flame. Yueru, don't fight with him. Kill the phantom on his chest, and leave the rest to me. And Xiao Yang and the Holy Flame fusion last resort. As long as he completely kills the Gorefiend, he can use it. Although I don't know why, but Xiao Yang vaguely guessed from the burning decision, that combined with the power of Holy Flame, this Shenling King is definitely not his opponent. Okay. Yu heard that, although she was puzzled, she did not dare to be distracted when fighting against a powerhouse like Shenling King, who had completed the Battle of Immortals with 1 star, and agreed. You bastard, you're so messed up. And Xiao Yang walked over slightly. Kaylin couldn't help laughing and scolding. Obviously if it wasn't for Yueru's appearance just now, if Xiao Yang really exploded, I'm afraid according to Kaylin's temperament, he would definitely not will watch Xiao Yang like this. Even if he is seriously injured, he still wants to save Xiao Yang. Hee. Xiao Yang heard this, but did not speak, and grinned. There will be a fierce battle in a while. Please reply to your strength first. Kaylin hesitated for a while, and then said, because she knew that with so many strong people here under the control of King Shenling, things might not be so simple. At this time, Xiao Yang's strength has temporarily dropped to the level of a 5-star fighting emperor because of the detonation of 23 kinds of strange fires in his body, but Xiao Yi has already become a fire elf formed by the fusion of many strange fires, and he has long been immune to the strange fires in Xiao Yang's body. Influence. As long as I kill the Gorefiend, I will have enough ability to kill King Shenling. I hope the fusion of the 2 holy flames will allow me to. Xiao Yang slowly opened his mouth while swallowing the medicinal pill, his voice full of confidence. At this time, in the sky, the Lord of Soul Eater and Xian Kang were constantly negotiating, and the other 10 fighting immortals were trapped in the Blood River Bell. As for Long Yi and Xiao Yi, they were evenly matched, and they were inextricably fighting for a while. I don't see that you still have a second chance. King Shenling and Yueru briefly fought for a few rounds, then stopped and said to him. King Shenling didn't know why, but he always felt that the strength of the woman in front of him was not simple. According to her strength, at most the woman in front of her is in the middle stage of 1-star fighting immortals, but how could she be so indistinguishable from her? You must know that you have devoured the Gorefiend, and there is still ghost energy in his body. In addition to the power of life and death that he originally cultivated, there are as many as 3 kinds of power, but no one can deal with him so easily. You have done a lot of evil, and today is your judgment day. Monster Moon / And Yueru didn't talk nonsense with King Shenling. On the palm of her hand, a round of beautiful and bright moonlight slowly emerged. What kind of power is this? On the other hand, King Shenling stared at the bright moonlight in Yueru's palm, and an uneasy feeling emerged. Pretend to be a ghost. Death to me. King Xianling hesitated for a moment, and the next moment, his figure skyrocketed. In his palm, a blood-colored evil force emerged and shot him directly. This King Xianling devoured the Gorefiend, and now he can actually use the power of the Gorefiend, but although this devouring wiped out all the intentions of the Gorefiend, it will cause endless troubles. If you are accidentally bitten by the Gorefiend, hehe. But in the end, when the Xianling King fell, the power of these evil races from outside the realm, for me, was a big boost. After all, there is a Soul Eater talisman. The Soul Eater said with a smile. Boom boom boom. Yueru held the bright moonlight, and then turned into a beautiful short blade. On the short blade, a round moon pattern was divided into mysterious, and then gently raised the short blade, facing the Xianling King. Assassination away. This short blade is not simple. I'm afraid it is the fairy weapon of the fairy moon. While Xiao Yan tried to recover from the injury below, he said slowly. With his perception, he knew the majestic energy contained in the mysterious pattern on the short blade, and I am afraid that even a complete powerhouse with a single star would not be able to decipher it. Crash. Strangely, when the evil power in Xuanling's palm just touched the Yueru short blade, it suddenly stalemate, and the evil power showed a hint of fear. Bang bang bang. Seeing this, Yueru's face turned cold, and then she squeezed hard and directly shook the figure of King Xianling back. Little girl, you are challenging my few patience. Let this blow and get to know you thoroughly. King Xianling seemed to be afraid of the strange short blade on Yueru's body, so he opened his mouth, and as soon as the words fell, there was a mass of blood energy on King Xuanling's body. Slowly condensed. That's what I mean. Seeing this, Yueru smiled slightly, and then closed her beautiful eyes slightly. The next moment, the full moon directly above the altar exuded a dazzling brilliance, which then completely turned this place into night, and a trace of the power of moonlight kept tilting down from the full moon, slowly scattered on the moon. Bright moon. Yueru let out a snarl, her beautiful eyes suddenly opened, and at the same time, on the forehead, a mysterious full moon pattern that was exactly the same as that on the short blade suddenly flashed. Silver moon bow. After a while, a silver bow and arrow condensed by the bright moonlight slowly emerged from the mysterious rune on Yueru's forehead. With the emergence of the silver moon bow, Yueru's whole body will be like a fairy who doesn't eat fireworks, and it will be very solemn. Good guy, you actually even learned Fairy Moon's famous skills. The silver moon bow is also a very terrifying existence among immortal artifacts. And the Lord of Soul Eater also said, the blood demon swallows the sky. Fall for me. The next moment, King Xuanling's attack was finally condensed, and he didn't care what Yueru was doing. The blood and energy all over his body opened his huge mouth and swallowed Yueru away. Such a strong evil aura, if it is stained with any trace, I am afraid that it will instantly lose one's mind. Yueru, you can't be in trouble. And Xiao Yang below, clenched his fists tightly, staring intently at the battle in the sky. Finally, just when King Xuanling's evil force was about to attack Xiao Yang, Yueru moved. Silver moon bow, been silent for so long. It's time to shine your own light. Silver moon bow. And Yueru seemed to whisper to the exquisite fairy bow in her palm following Yueru's muttering. The Yinyu fairy bow seemed to understand Yueru's intentions, and Wang buzzed. A burst of extremely excited joy echoed to Yueru. Let me urge you. Seeing this, Yueru placed her satisfied jade hand on the center of the fairy bow, making it look like she was pulling a bow. Ha ha ha. Don't talk about the Yinyu immortal bow, you don't even have a bow and spin, and you are trying to defeat me. Die. King Xianling didn't panic when he saw Yueru's habit, and burst out laughing. Boom boom boom. King Xuanling's voice just fell, and then the blood-colored air mass's ferocious mouth directly swallowed Yueru. It's over. King Xianling looked at Yueru who had no resistance, shook his head and said, his voice full of ecstasy. Not yet. And in the sky above the altar that had been swallowed by the blood-colored air mass, there was still a small space protected by a bright moonlight. In the narrow space, on the exquisite silver moon bow, a sacred arrow with the annihilation of all things, slowly absorbing the power of countless bright moons, came into being at the historic moment. Yinyu bow, go! Yueru shouted softly, and then the jade hand loosened slightly. At that time, the silver bow and arrow with incomparable divine power, like a runaway horse, shot directly at Xianling King. And go! Wherever the Yinyu bow and arrow passed, the evil aura receded everywhere. This blow can be described as a real killer move. Damn! King Xianling found out that Yueru had not been completely destroyed by his own attack, and immediately did not hesitate. There were circles of black ghosts, the power of blood-colored evil, and the power of black and white life and death, 3 kinds of power, appeared directly, and immediately formed 3 tyrannical energy barriers on its body. Even King Shenling could smell an extremely terrifying power from Yueru's attack. But no matter what defense King Shenling did, the silver bow and arrow was still like a world-breaking arrow, and in a short period of time, the evil power above the altar sky was completely driven away. Immediately, the speed skyrocketed, and it shot towards the direction where King Shenling was located, as if no one could stop him. Block me. King Shenling looked at the unstoppable silver moon bow and arrow like no one, and in a few breaths, his attack was completely dissipated, and then he shouted, 3 strands above his body. Strength is increasing. King Shenling, it's time to end. No one can survive under a single blow from the silver moon bow. After Yueru issued this blow, her entire body was in a state of sluggishness. Obviously, this seemingly easy bow cost a lot of money. I don't believe this, King. Before King Shenling finished speaking, the silver bow and arrow slowly hit King Shenling. The outermost layer. At this time, the silver bow and arrow came 10 meters away from King Shenling, and the speed suddenly slowed down. Because King Shenling is outside his body, a barrier of ghost energy is set up at 10 meters, a barrier of power of evil is set up at 5 meters, and a barrier of power of life and death is set at 3 meters. When the outermost ghost barrier was not able to stop the silver bow and arrow for a few breaths, it shattered with a click. And as the outermost barrier was broken, King Xuanling's complexion became ugly, and the silver bow and arrow, however, increased in momentum, attacking the second barrier of King Shenling. Hold me up. King Shenling looked at the silver bow and arrow for a moment, then came to the second floor, and couldn't help roaring. The second layer of barriers seemed to collapse faster than the first layer, because among the silver bows and arrows, there have been many suppression of the evil power of foreign evil races since ancient times. King Xuanling's use of evil power as a barrier is tantamount to sending death. The last floor. The eyes of Xiao Yan and Mu Yingying below all became heavy, because they knew that whether the silver bow and arrow could injure King Shenling, it was up to them this time. A circle of even more terrifying power of life and death was constantly vented from King Shenling. Obviously, he had learned to be smart at this time, and the ghost energy and evil power in his body were unable to resist the silver bow and arrow. Divine power, only the power of life and death cultivated by oneself. Wang Om. The silver bow and arrow were quite terrifying at first, but after breaking through the 2 barriers one after another, their aura greatly diminished, and even when resisting the last layer of King Xuanling's defense, there was a feeling of powerlessness. Ha ha ha. You are finished. I not only want to swallow the holy flame, but also swallow you all. King Shenling felt the sudden weakening of the power in the silver bow and arrow, and then laughed wildly. And seeing this scene, Long Yi Xiaoyi and Mu Yingying shook their heads. Obviously such a tyrannical attack was useless. It's not over yet, you can't give up. When Yueru saw this scene, a dazzling power of the bright moon poured out on the silver bow and arrow. Catcher. The next moment, an astonishing crack opened slowly from above the barrier of King Xuanling's life and death. How is that possible? And the ecstasy of King Shenling just now completely solidified at this moment, and his face became like an ice cube. In the face of Fairy Moon's relic, the attack from the silver fairy bow, even the Shenling King has to pay attention. Impossible, impossible, impossible. King Shenling stared 3 meters away from his body, and the black and white barrier of life and death became more and more obvious, and he kept roaring. King Shenling, it's time to end. Silver bow and arrow, the power of destruction. And seeing this scene, Yueru's heart was also relieved, and she let out a coquettish anger, and then the silver bow and arrow directly broke through the black and white barrier of life and death of the Shenling King, hitting the Shenling King heavily. At this moment, among the huge crowd of 9-star Do Emperor and 8-star Do Emperor that Long Yi and Xiao Yi had to deal with, a figure suddenly swept towards King Shenling, and the speed was so fast that Xiao Yang and the others did not discover. Boom! When the silver bow and arrow hit the Shenling King, in the center of the altar, a doomsday light slowly radiated from the center of the explosion. The energy ripples generated by its explosion could easily kill some weak human powerhouses. The shocking explosion lasted for about 3 minutes. During the 3 minutes, King Xuanling's breath was stagnant to the extreme. No one noticed it, as if he had completely fallen. However, Xiao Yang felt the pure fluctuations on the ghost-faced, soul-flavored Saint Yangjing 3 minutes after the explosion. Obviously, the Shenling King was seriously injured even if he did not die. Because of this appearance, it was a trace of the blood demon causing the remaining power to be completely wiped out. From now on, this ghost face soul flame is Xiao Yang's thing, and Xiao Yang is quite happy. It's finally over. After a while, Yueru slowly put away the short blade and the Yinyu immortal bow, and then walked towards the land of the altar below. Xiao Yang, are you all right? As soon as she arrived on land, Yueru returned to her lively and cheerful appearance. I'm fine, Xiao Yang said immediately after seeing Yueru being so arrogant. These are. Yu heard the words, and immediately turned her gaze to the three figures bound by the three evil pillars beside her. This is. Xiao Yang was fooled by Yueru's question. He couldn't just say that this is my wife like he told Mu Yingying before. I'm Xiao Yang's wife. Kaylin also glanced at Yu and found that this woman was not only of outstanding strength, but also had a face that could be called Shuyu Xiaohua, so she hurriedly swore an oath of sovereignty. I'm Xiao Yang's partner. Mu Yingying opened her mouth slightly. Wife. Yueru's smile just now fell silent after hearing Kaylin's cold words. The word wife has already expressed too much. Sorry, I should have told you about this earlier. When Xiao Yang heard the words, he nodded secretly, and then apologized. But, you clearly. Yu could not help digesting such a huge amount of information in a short period of time. She pointed at Xiao Yang with her jade hand, and a touch of sadness appeared in her heart. It's not right. Although Fairy Moon's Silver Moon immortal bow is tyrannical, I'm afraid it doesn't have the ability to kill King Xianling with a single blow. And if you kill the Xianling king, these people should return to normal. The Soul Eater Lord on the side looked at Xian Kang and the next strong men without any change in their expressions. With a touch of fear, it poured into my heart, and hurriedly shouted, Xiao Yang, be careful, Xianling Wang Hai is not dead. Little chops. Give me death. The Soul Eater Lord's voice had not yet fallen. When Yueru fell into a sluggishness, a voice like a deadly king of hell slowly resounded through the entire altar. Immediately, an incomparably huge black chain suddenly strung out from under the land of the altar, and then slammed away at the four gods and no masters Yueru. Be careful. And Xiao Yang paid attention to every move around the altar the whole time. Seeing that the chain had just appeared, it was too late to save Yueru. The figure fell towards Yueru and pushed her hard to send Yueru away from the chain. Attack range. And Xiao Yang did this for Yueru's safety, and was directly hit by the chain. It's just that Xiao Yang's pupils saw two overlapping figures at the place where the sky exploded before. This video will end here.